Should you sell your Pokemon cards using the eBay vault? In this video, I'll catalog my personal experiences selling cards through the vault, what's been great, and what needs a little bit of help. Santa, we're live. Oh, I'm sorry about that. New post just dropped on Mrs. Claus OnlyFans. If you're looking for a great gift to give for Christmas, don't ask me. I'm obviously busy, but I know where you can go. eBay. Whether you want to buy an awesome graded Pokemon card or that mason jar that Timmy wants to put his anime figure in for some reason, shop on eBay using my affiliate link down in the description below. This will help support me and the YouTube channel with your Christmas gift purchases. Back to the video, and Mrs. Claus, don't interrupt me again. The vault is a service that allows you to send your cards to a secure eBay facility for either storage or for sale. So if you've got some really expensive cards and you're worried about storing them at home, you can send them to eBay Vault. One of the biggest benefits of using the eBay Vault as a seller is, as of now until the end of the year, there are no fees associated with selling through the eBay Vault, but you can only send cards that are worth $250 or more. So the current cost of using the eBay Vault is only your cost to ship the items to the facility, which really isn't all that bad if you're sending 5 to 10 cards worth $250 or more and it's a $10 priority mail fee. Not that bad. So it's definitely worth it for me if I want to sell cards that are $250 or more to send them to the vault so that I don't have to incur that pesky 13 to 15% eBay fee selling myself on the platform. Unfortunately, these benefits are going to be short-lived and it's all going to change in 2024, but it's really not going to get that much worse. In 2024, there will be a small submission fee for each time that you send stuff to the vault. Right now, when you send something to the vault, there is a waived $4 submission fee. I don't know if it's going to be $4 for every submission, but $4 again on a bunch of cards that are worth $250 or more to submit to the vault, really not that bad. On top of that, there will be a vault buyer's premium of 3% of the last purchase price, and that's going to start as well in 2024. So as far as I can tell, there still won't be any percentage fee that you will incur selling through the vault, but it will be that 3% buyer's premium that the buyer will have tacked onto the purchase price at that stage of the transaction. Creating a submission for the vault is incredibly easy. The only mandatory items that you need to create a submission are front and back images. You do not have to have amazing scans or anything like that. I've taken literal images inside of PSA, sleeves. They look horrible. As long as they're readable, as long as they can see the labels, I think whatever images you take are fine. You don't have to go out of your way to provide them, pristine looking images. Which grading company the card is graded by and what grade it actually got, the certification number for the slab, and the actual name of the game and card name associated with the card. There are two options when you're creating the submission. You can add the cards manually or you can add them via a CSV. I've never tried to add them via the CSV at this point. I've only done manually because I'm usually sending like 4 to 10 cards at a time. It's not really anything that I can't do manually pretty quickly. But I'm sure in the future, if that $250 limit comes down, there's going to be a lot more cards going to the vault, and I may be sending a lot more cards at a time, and at that point I want to figure out how I can utilize a CSV to input all that information for me instead of having to do it all manually. But for right now, manual is just fine. Then you just toss the packing slip they give you in the box and you just send them off. Usually I use priority mail, and for me the whole process between sending off and being able to do anything with the actual cards has been about a week. And I think that's because every card that's shipped to the vault is first shipped through authentication, which is actually really nice because then the card is already authenticated, and when the person buys the item, it doesn't have to go through authentication again before it goes to them. eBay can ship it and it can immediately go to the buyer without any extra stops or longer transit times. Once it's in the vault, they make it pretty easy to list, but make sure you check your titles first because goddamn, they are horrifying. Basically, I think when they authenticate it and they put it into the system, they just add a bunch of item specifics and then they grab a random assortment of those item specifics and they just throw it on the title line. They look horrible. You can edit titles, but it's pretty restrictive and cumbersome to do so. Basically, you have the option to add or edit some of the item specifics because some of the specifics that they actually put in there are wrong, or they're missing certain specifics that are like the selling point of that particular card. After you edit those specifics, you can reorder them in the title to where they actually show up in the listing to make your listing look a little bit more like you'd want them to in your eBay store. So this is an example of what the title may look like before you're able to make any changes. This was a BGS Black Label Gengar that I sent off to hopefully sell through the eBay Vault service. And as you can see in the title, it doesn't say Black Label anywhere. The card number is actually wrong. It should say 074, not just 74. And for me personally, I like to put the card number and then out of however many cards in the set. That's how I look for items when I'm looking to buy or when I'm looking to like comp what I want to list for. And you can see that the way that they threw the item specifics into the title, it's all over the place. You got the year first, you got the wrong card number, you got BGS Pristine at the back. It's a mess. So here's what the title looked like after I was able to update it. Now we have BGS 10 Pristine Black Label Gengar Character Rare 074 Pokemon TCG card 2022. Very, very close, if not almost perfect, dead on how I would normally create a title for eBay. It might be totally wrong. If I'm creating my titles wrong, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to suggestions. It's important to note that if you are editing an item specific, or if you're trying to add a parallel or variety like I did with Black Label to the item specifics, it can take up to 24 hours for them to approve that change. Sometimes it can be faster, and sometimes they'll approve the first change, and then every change after that you do on the same day, they automatically change. A lot of the service is kind of random and up in the air right now. I think they're still trying to iron a lot of things out. But so far, I gotta say, I've had a pretty positive experience selling through the eBay Vault. Process is a little bit cumbersome at the start. You're definitely gonna run into little errors trying to load pages. There was a thing with my address where it didn't want to use a PO box. You had to use like a verified home address, not a PO box. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but just in case you get hung up on that address confirmation section, make sure you're not using a PO box. For some reason, it doesn't like that. Right now, if you want to edit a listing or change something in a listing that's through the eBay Vault, it verifies your identity by sending you a code on the phone, which is nice, but at the same time, it's a little cumbersome to have to do that every time you want to edit something with the listing. If you're already signed into your eBay account with two-factor authentication, why then do you have to do another two-factor authentication to edit an item that's at the eBay Vault? It's nice to have the extra level of security, but maybe seems a little bit unnecessary. But so far, I've sold quite a few high value cards through eBay Vault. I haven't had any issues so far, and it's really nice to not get hit by that 13 to 15% fee on every sale, especially for those big item cards that are going to be, you know, $30, $40 in fees when you sell them. If you send them through the eBay Vault, you're definitely not getting hit with as big a fee. And it doesn't seem like in the future that fee will be increasing at all, apart from that buyer's premium that will be on the buyer's side in the future that you may choose to incorporate into your listing price. But at the same time, that's only 3%. You're still saving 10% on that transaction going through the vault. I'm obviously looking at this from a seller's perspective, but as a collector's perspective, I don't think I would want to use a vault service personally. Obviously, I have some pretty high value cards that should probably be in like a vault or some sort of safety deposit box or something and not be at my residence. But at the same time, I like looking at my cards, and it's not the same if I can't pick it up and hold it. If it's in a vault, I might as well just sell it, in my opinion. So I have struggled quite a bit because I have thought, man, maybe I should send these ponchos to the vault. They are pretty expensive cards, but at the same time, if I'm not looking up and walking in my room and seeing the ponchos every day, then what's the point in owning the ponchos? I might as well just sell them. That's kind of how I look at like personal collection stuff. If I'm gonna personally collect something, I want to see it every day when I wake up with my cup of coffee and come into the office. So I've hesitated to send those to the vault because I know once I send them to the vault, I'm going to sell those babies. And just remember to collectors that when you send something to the vault, there is a fee to remove it from the vault. So if you're looking to try the whole submission process and figure out what the vault's all about, maybe do it on cards that you know for sure you're going to sell for that first experience and not regret sending and then get hit with a fee when you pull the cards out. Well, that's all I got. Hopefully this was informative or helpful. If you've been thinking about using the vault, but you haven't pulled the trigger yet, I would say definitely give it a try on some cards that you know you're going to sell and get familiar with the submission process and experience. It's definitely something that I will continue using forward based on my experience so far. I can just imagine that this experience is just going to get better and better as they fix things and keep going along, getting more familiar and experienced with trading cards and how they should be stored and how they're sold and all that kind of stuff.